One? No, I play like way harder pieces than them, but issue is they actually learn their pieces, so like.
It's actually use regional mode act that way.
It's like
update live.
Brady's doing fucking like Beethoven and shit.
Alright,
doing fucking Rock 3, so.
We are just about ready to get started. So, sorry for the delay here. I'm just getting all the stream figured out, as you hopefully have noticed. There are some cameras and microphones in here, so this one will be live streamed to our YouTube channel, assuming that we have everything set up correctly. Anyway, my name is Mike Bentley. I will be the moderator for this match, which is round 2 between Chattahoochee B and Richard Montgomery. This particular round is sponsored by Connie Zhang, so thank Connie for the sponsorship of this round. I'm going to do a quick buzzer check, and then we will get started. All right, and I have everything loaded up. Is everyone ready to go?
Yeah.
All right, here's toss-up number 1. This poet addressed the line, "Nights of insult let you pass, watched by every human love," to a lover who is told, "Rest your sleeping head, my love, human on my faithless arm." In one work by this poet, a narrator looking up at the stars resolves, "If equal affection cannot be, let the more loving one be me."
Auden.
Auden is correct for power.
Nice.
Oh. Oh yeah.
Bonus. The first movement of this piece opens with the violins playing a descending F-sharp minor arpeggio for 10 points each. Name a symphony whose final movement consists of a presto section followed by a long adagio coda in which the musicians snuff out candles as they drop out of the orchestra.
The Farewell Symphony. Farewell Symphony.
This composer wrote the Farewell Symphony to convince his patron, Prince Esterhazy, to allow his musicians to return home. Other symphonies by this composer include London and Surprise.
Haydn.
That's right. After the first oboe and second horn, this instrument is the next to leave in the final movement of Haydn's Farewell Symphony. Thaddeus von Dönitz may have been the dedicatee of Mozart's only surviving concerto for this instrument, which is in B-flat major.
Yeah.
Clarinet is in B-flat.
Go.
Clarinet.
It's a bassoon. 20 points. Toss-up number 2. Eric Heborn closely studied a 15th century handbook for people of this profession written by Cennino Cennini. The Sobey Foundation awards an annual prize to a young person in this profession. This profession was overseen and patronized by the Guild of St. Luke in early modern Europe. A 2013 Penn and Teller documentary explored the Hockney-Falco hypothesis about how a Dutch person in this profession worked.
Like an artist.
It is an artist for power. Bonus. This author referenced the novel The Hound of the Baskervilles with the name of his protagonist, William of Baskerville, who investigates the deaths of several monks. For 10 points each, name is the Italian author of the murder mystery novel The Name of the Rose.
Echo.
This Echo novel pastiches locked room detective stories with its depiction of the death of Frederick Barbarossa. This novel's title character is a peasant who travels through medieval Europe to the land of Prester John.
Oh god. What's it called?
It's not Foucault's pendulum.
It's like Bubalino.
Answer?
Bubalino?
Baudolino. Baudolino's journeys themselves pastiche this literary genre, which consists of linked episodes in the life of a lovable rogue. The archetypical novel in this genre is Lazarillo de Tormes.
Picturesque.
What?
Picturesque.
Yes, picturesque. Or say that one more time.
Picturesque. Picaresque is what you want, probably.
Yeah, I think you put an extra T in there. Which
Yeah,
is
it's
not
fine.
there, so,
Yeah.
that is 10 points.
Oops.
All right, we are on toss-up 3. Barry Sharpless popularized an effect named for this compound and the word on, in which chemical reactions happen faster at interfaces. This compound is emulsified with mineral oil to form microfluidic droplets. Partition coefficients are measured using a mixture of this compound and octanol. This compound has a large contact angle with surfaces that are coated in PTFE to make them lipophilic. This compound is excluded from the center of a micelle and between the leaflets of a
Water.
It is water. 15
Nice.
points.
10.
Yes. Bonus for Richard Montgomery. Answer the following about the Confederate Brigadier General States' Rights Gist for 10 points each. Gist was so named as a tribute to John C. Calhoun in the early days of this 1830s crisis in which state officials attempted to render federal tariffs void within South Carolina.
Nullification crisis.
As South Carolina's State Inspector General, Gist helped secure arms in the run-up to an 1861 attack on this Charleston fort, which began the Civil War.
This Fort Sumter.
Yes. After the Chattanooga campaign, Gist was assigned to keep an eye on this major general after he spent much of the campaign drunk. Alongside Joseph Lane, this man was nominated for one position by bolters led by William Yancey.
Drunk. Hood.
This is John C. Breckinridge.
Okay.
20 points. Sorry, 1 second. Just read something.
Yeah.
That. So we are on to toss-up number 4. Everyone ready? All right. These events lended their name to a raisin-filled cake that people in Hartford, Connecticut prepared for them. In Britain, these events typically took place one day after the construction of a hustings, and their boozy nature is highlighted in some humours by William Hogarth. Until 1984, Australia's indigenous population was exempt from a law making participation in these events mandatory. The Chartists demanded that these events take...
Elections.
That's right for power.
Like, census. You can see where
Bonus. Answer the following about mechanisms by which immune cells kill pathogens for 10 points each. Macrophages digest bacteria in a phagosome where this quantity is low enough to denature proteins. Most bacteria prefer this quantity to be slightly alkaline.
Oh, pH.
Right. Doesn't he?
pH.
Neutrophils kill phagocytosed bacteria by reacting this compound with oxygen to generate free radicals. Cells use this electron carrier for anabolic reactions like photosynthesis, but prefer a derivative with one fewer phosphate for catabolism.
ATP.
Oh, doesn't he?
ATP.
No, this is NADPH. Cytotoxin T cells kill their targets by secreting this protein, which pokes holes in target cell membranes to let in pro-apoptotic proteases called granzymes.
Like cytochrome C.
Doesn't he?
Cytochrome C.
This is perforin.
Perfect.
10 points.
Oh,
Toss up.
perfect. Yeah. Oh.
One section of a book titled For This Place describes the impact of King Sugar and other agricultural monarchs. A book by Antonio Pigafetta exemplifies the outsized reality of this place per the 1982 Nobel Prize for Literature lecture, which describes its isolation. Eduardo Galeano wrote a book about this place's open veins.
Latin America.
That's right for 20.
Oh, that kind of makes sense. Good power.
Bonus. This author assured the title addressees, "The whole world shares your tears, some for 2 nights or 1, and some for all of their years," in his poem, All You Who Sleep Tonight. For 10 points each, name this author, who wrote about Lata Meira's pressure to marry based on her mother's wishes in his enormous novel, A Suitable Boy.
Seth.
Yes. The contents page of A Suitable Boy is written in these poetic stanzas, which consist of 2 lines.
Oh.
Couplets.
Poetry is also incorporated into Seth's debut novel, The Golden Gate, whose male protagonist has this full name. In an earlier song, a historical figure with this full name has gone to be a soldier in the army of the Lord.
John Brown.
John Brown.
John Brown.
30 points.
Oh.
Toss-up. In her memoirs, a princess of this empire recounted her father pranking the court jester Assas by sending him an extremely heavy gold coin. A later ruler of this empire later asked that princess, Gulbadan, to tell her life to his court historian, Abdul Fazl. A likely bisexual ruler of this empire described falling in love with a boy at a market in memoirs translated from Chagatai Turkic into Persian. Another ruler of this empire styled himself as a conqueror of the world, or Al-Amgir.
Mughal.
What?
Mughal.
Yes.
Nice.
10 points.
Moogle. Oh.
Bonus. Description acceptable. After dying in this manner, a man is turned into a flower whose petals are inscribed with the lament all. For 10 points each, name the specific cause of death of King Acrisius. The jealousy of Zephyrus caused Hyacinthus to die in this manner.
Poison, maybe.
Sure. Poison.
Hit in the head with a discus.
Yeah.
When he hits Acrisius with a discus, this rescuer of Andromeda fulfills the prophecy that he would kill his grandfather, which caused his mother Danae to be set adrift.
Perseus.
Yes. After Hyacinthus is killed by a discus, Apollo gives him a chariot pulled by these animals. Zeus takes the form of one of these animals to rape a woman, leading to the birth of Castor and Pollux.
Swan?
I thought it might be bull. I think
You say
Answer?
people then.
bull.
It's a swan. 10
Yeah,
points.
sorry.
Top 7. A pop psychology book titled For These People argues that societal communication failures led to the death of Sandra Bland. That 2019 book by Malcolm Gladwell is titled For Talking to These People. One of these people talks with a parent and then is left alone with an infant in a procedure used to study attachment. That procedure...
Stranger.
It is a stranger, yes. Power.
Yes.
I recognize the first one.
Yeah,
It's trying to.
Oh.
It's talking to strangers.
Bonus. Glue, paper, and scissors ready. You may make one of these surfaces by cutting out a strip of paper, giving it a half twist, and gluing its ends together. For 10 points each, name these non-orientable one-sided surfaces, 2 of which can be theoretically glued together to make a Klein bottle.
Mobius strip.
You glued together 2 manifolds by their cobordism, a manifold for which this set is the disjoint union of the 2 manifolds. By definition, a closed set contains its corresponding set of this type.
Boundary.
Sure.
Boundary.
That's right. Your cobordism has this property that the Heine-Borel theorem equates with closure and boundedness in Rn. Every open cover of a space with this property admits a finite subcover.
Cardinality.
Continuous.
Answer?
Continuous.
This is compact. That's 20 points. And toss bait. Women living along this river collect and sell green algae to make kaipen. A region of this river called the 4,000 Islands is graded by the widest waterfall in the world, Cone Falls.
Mekong.
Yes.
Nice.
This is your first geography toss-up of this tournament.
Bonus. In the book, The Mask of Benevolence, Harlan Lane described these devices as symbolic objects used to colonize bodies. For 10 points each, name these devices that amplify sound to make up for damaged hair cells in the ear. These devices perform a similar task to cochlear implants.
Hearing aid?
Deaf advocates criticize forced hearing aids in the modern application of this method of deaf education that stresses lip reading and the adoption of auditory speech in place of manual signing. This method of education was supported by Horace Mann and Alexander Graham Bell.
Keller. No, it's not.
Sure, yeah, I don't know.
It's not sound. Keller.
This is oralism. One of the first deaf psychologists, Robert Thalberg, threw out his hearing aid while at this school. This manualist school in Washington, D.C. is the only university fully dedicated to deaf education.
I forgot. No answer.
This is Gallaudet, 10 points.
What is it? I don't know. What do you
2009. At the premiere of this opera, the audience chanted the name Pia Silo in support of another composer's adaptation of the same play. The trio Zitti, Zitti, Piano, Piano is sung in this opera by a character planning to escape a house using a ladder. A woman in this opera blames a gasp of recognition on a foot cramp after her love interest disguises himself as a Don Alonso to give her a music lesson. A woman in this opera warns that she will be a viper against anyone who prevents her pursuit of the poor student Lindoro in the...
Just the Barbara Sevilla.
That's right.
I've gone this like way earlier.
Bonus. During this period, more British people died in car accidents due to nighttime blackout policies than in combat. For 10 points each, name this 8-month period at the start of World War II when very few operations took place on the Western Front.
The fall.
Answer?
The Great Silence. No.
This is the Phony War. This British Prime Minister's government fell near the end of the Phony War. This Prime Minister is wrongly held to have secured peace in our time with the Munich Agreement.
Neville Chamberlain.
Say it again?
Neville Chamberlain.
Yes. During the Phony War, France launched an offensive into the Saarland, a territory that was ruled as one of these polities starting in 1920. The French government also controlled one of these polities named for Syria and Lebanon.
Go.
Mandates?
That's right for 20.
Nice. Oh, you're welcome for getting that toss-up.
Toss-up.
I'll be getting no more.
This figure is frequently depicted in art alongside brother Leo, who was present when this figure saw a seraph on the mountain of La Verna. After being told to lie down with the pigs, this figure secured a second audience with the Pope while covered in swine feces. Many of the fioretti, or legends about this figure, discuss how he saved the city of Gubbio by talking to a wolf that was terrorizing it. After receiving a pardon at a chapel established by this figure in Porzinocola, one woman established the Order of Poor Clares. This figure received the stigmata in 1224 and established a religious order that required friars to beg for food. Poison is patron saint of Italy, a native of Assisi who inspired...
Princess of Assisi.
That's right.
Yeah. It took me a moment to figure out what I was talking about.
We did it.
Bonus. Vermont's Bennington Museum contains the largest collection of paintings by this artist, who used glitter to illustrate snow in her many scenes of sugaring off. For 10 points each, name this American folk artist of rural landscapes who began painting at age 78.
Yeah, that one.
Answer?
George O'Keeffe.
This is Grandma Moses. Winter Scenes by Grandma Moses and George Dury were published by this company along with a mass-produced print of Central Park Skating. This lithograph company, named for its two founders, published the racist Darktown comics.
What?
It's doubly upon us.
Answer? Currier and Ives. Grandma Moses created many winter scenes depicting children chasing these animals. A large cooked dish of this animal is lowered onto a table in Norman Rockwell's painting of a holiday meal, Freedom from Want.
Turkey.
That's right for 10. And that is the half.
Turkey.
Bringing the score to Chattahoochee B, 90, and Richard Montgomery, 230.
You guys are doing better than we were at the half last time.
You're not wrong. That's powers. I think the powers are way more lenient this time around.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
I'm starting to wake up.
Yeah, but PvP is terrible.
Call that shit the dogmatics on over there. So the bonuses are harder, but the toss-ups are easier, I think. Not so tripped up. God, I heard the ladder, and I was like, look at your figure out. So I was like, size 50-50 for those ones, man. Huh? What's the other two? What's the other 230? 230.
Actually, it's all right.
Damn, guys, it's still the same.
Yeah.
What was it last time? 600
What was the
220.
second
230
leg in the
So close to
You guys,
in the half?
Well, you doing better.
in the second half?
230.
Just maybe strangers or Latin America. Latin America, maybe.
I never drink milk-based products.
Okay, is everyone ready to start?
Oh, absolutely.
No good? Okay. Here we go with toss-up number 11. 3 pairs of cardinal points are employed in an approach to optics named for the scientist that relies on the paraxial approximation. The scientist names light beams whose shapes are entirely determined by beam waste. This inventor of the magnetometer also names closed surfaces through which the flux of a vector field is calculated. A law name for the scientist states that the divergence of the B field equals 0, which implies...
Gauss's law.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's right. For 10...
Seems like
It's a person.
It's fine.
Bonus. In 1982, IUPAC amended its definition of this state to use metric instead of imperial units. For 10 points each, name this reference state, which is now defined to occur at 273.15 Kelvin and 1 bar. Consequently, a mole of ideal gas at this state now has a volume of 22.7 liters, not 22.4.
STP, direct.
On the Celsius scale, STP occurs at this temperature, the freezing point of water.
0.
The second of these quantities is a good estimate for the difference in molar volume between a real gas and an ideal gas of STP. These quantities are symbolized capital B and multiply powers of volume in a non-ideal gas law.
That's the Van der Waals equation, so they're just A and B. I don't know what they're called.
Answer?
Say that.
A and B.
These are the virial coefficients. 20 points. Toss up 12. A sculpture named for one of these things is bound by turquoise serpents and represents one of these things with a glyph for movement. 4 gods representing the cardinal directions created the first of these things after defeating a crocodile with mouths on its knees. The end of one of these things occurred after greedy humans were turned into monkeys and blown away in a hurricane. After one of these things is hit with a stone club, jaguars eat humanity. In one story, Nana Huatzin becomes one of these things after Tecatl is too scared to jump into a bonfire. Human sacrifices were made to Huitzilopochtli to prevent this thing.
The sun.
It is the sun, yes. 10.
was gonna say bomb, but
I think I've heard. Like, you're saying what?
Bonus. Susan Sontag called this exhibition the last sigh of the women-esque erotic embrace of the nation in her book-length essay on photography for 10 points each. Named this large exhibition of world photography curated by Edward Steichen that opened at the MoMA in 1955. Its name comes from a line in a poem by Carl Sandburg.
Chicago.
yeah.
Answer? Is the family of man. In On Photography, Sontag compares the family of man to a retrospective of this photographer's works depicting freaks. This artist's photograph of identical twin sisters in New Jersey inspired a scene in the film The Shining.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Answer?
Mapplethorpe.
It's Diane Arbus. Sontag's list of freaks in Arbus works include a Jewish giant living with his parents in the city, which is also the setting of Arbus's photograph of a child with a toy hand grenade in Central Park.
New York City.
10 points.
You have to say Central Park.
Toss-up 13. In the Canterbury Tales, the wife of Bath reads the works of a legendary member of this profession known as either Trotula or Trotta. In the early modern era, people in this profession without formal training were called empirics. In the Middle Ages, people in this profession often consulted a book that listed more than 600 plants by Dioscorides. A rival chemical branch of people in this profession followed Paracelsus and Andreas Vesalius.
Alchemist.
No, sorry.
Okay. I was gonna say.
And rejected the outdated teachings of Galen. Starting in the 14th century, members of this profession carried around dried flowers and herbs and wore a beak-shaped mask to ward off evil miasmas. For 10 points, give this profession, whose members still follow an oath attributed to Hippocrates.
Doctors.
That's right.
Yeah. No, I think that's from the start.
Yes.
I thought I remembered that, like, one, but from the Canterbury Tales, but I wasn't sure, so.
Probably still
It was looked very silly if
But
I
it's-
first line.
yeah,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, I saw his doctors,
I did the
you know?
chemistry presentation.
His doctors or something like
That was the
this.
first one.
Okay, we'll note it, and if it matters, we will address it at the end of the game. But for now, Chattahoochee, your bonus. The Taba Foundation is an American nonprofit that offers Dawah programs and establishes ministries in these locations. For 10 points each, name these locations where 80% of religious conversions are to Islam. John Bembry introduced Malcolm X to the Nation of Islam in one of these locations.
Yeah, sure. Mosque.
These are jails. Between 2017 and 2019, 64 religious freedom cases filed by Muslims in prison concerned dietary needs, such as not having alternatives for this unclean and haram red meat.
Yeah.
Pork.
That's right. Converts to the Nation of Islam may learn about Elijah Muhammad's vision of the Mother Plane, a UFO that is similar to this prophet's description of the throne of God. Merkaba studies this prophet.
Wait, what?
Merkaba studies this prophet.
Sure.
What?
Sure.
Answer?
Muhammad.
Is Ezekiel.
Oh,
10
what's
points.
Ezekiel? No. You guys gaslighted me.
He didn't,
Toss up.
he didn't say anything. He didn't say anything.
A poet who wrote in this language left many works as loose manuscripts in a trunk after his 1935 death and was the subject of a 2021 biography by Richard Zenith. That poet, who primarily used this language, used the pseudonym Alexander Search and wrote the Book of Disquiet under another of... is Portuguese for power.
I did.
Bonus. Caroline B. Dow offered to pay for this author's education at Vassar. For 10 points each, name this author who described how all I could see from where I stood was 3 long mountains and a wood in her poem Renaissance.
Edna St. Vincent Millay.
The speaker of Renaissance describes how this concept came down and settled over me after she screams. This concept is held in the palm of your hand in a William Blake poem.
Infinity.
Yes. While Millay described 3 long mountains and a wood in Renaissance, this author began his poem The Road Not Taken by stating 2 roads diverge in a yellow wood.
Frost.
30 points. Toss-up. According to the records of ancient matters, this activity was first performed by a god of thunder and a god of agriculture during a dispute over land ownership. A Hawaiian named Chad Rowan began an era of foreign dominance of this activity. A war fan is used by participants in this activity to call out offenses, which are called forbidden hand. Stable masters bestow new names on people engaging in this activity, such as Hakuho, one of its many Mongolian champions. This activity is often preceded by rituals.
It's like wrestling.
Prompt.
Sumo.
That's right, for 10.
Okay. No. Oh, because the agriculture. Okay.
Bonus, an item found at this site in the 1960s was originally thought to be a door pivot, but has more recently been linked to the native Dorset peoples. For 10 points each, name this North American archaeological site excavated by the Ingstads. One people established a trade relationship with the Skraeling at this UNESCO World Heritage Site.
North America?
It's either Greenland or like Baffin Island. I don't know.
Answer.
Scarabray.
This is Lancy Meadows. A cloakpin partly made of this material proved European settlement at Lancy Meadows. The Moche used this alloy of copper and tin, which names an age beginning around 3000 BCE.
Yeah.
Bronze.
Yes. Another example of pre-Columbian contact is this South American crop, which spread to Polynesia before the arrival of Europeans. In New Zealand, this starchy crop could be cultivated in lands that taro could not.
Starch.
Potato? Potato, yeah.
Potato.
No, this is a sweet potato.
Sweet, yeah, okay. Wait, yeah, because they already had potatoes, right? Didn't they?
Toss-up 16. The durability of devices that reduce this quantity is rated by the L10 life. Reduction in this quantity due to a thin viscous fluid film with no pressure gradient in the z direction is described by the Reynolds equation. A device that effectively reduces this quantity transmits a load to a series of spheres rotating between static and moving races. Molybdenum disulfide and graphite are used as...
Friction.
Yes, for 10.
Nice.
So what did it say about like reducing?
Bonus for Richard Montgomery in 2022. A team led by Ashutosh Kotwal reported a mass for these particles with a 7 sigma discrepancy from the accepted value. For 10 points each, name these particles. The intermediate vector bosons comprise the Z boson and the plus and minus types of these particles.
W boson.
Go.
W boson.
Yes. As the name suggests, W bosons are gauge bosons of this short-range fundamental interaction that gives rise to beta decay.
Weak.
Yes. The unexpected measurement of the W boson's mass was based on data measured over a decade earlier at this circular particle collider. This Fermi-Lab collider was the world's highest energy collider prior to the construction of the LHC.
No.
Can you think of any others?
Answer?
Oh, yeah. Oh, no.
CERN.
Tevatron, 20 points.
Top
Top 17. This person, the son of an anti-war Minnesota congressman, earned one nickname during a 1926 snowstorm while working as a contract mail deliverer. John Knoll may have been the Cemetery John who received $50,000 raised by this person. This person's relief efforts in the 1931 China floods are recounted in North to the Orient, a book by his wife Anne Morrow. FDR quipped that a speech could not have been put better if it had been written by Goebbels himself when delivered by this spokesman of the American First Committee.
Lindbergh.
That's right for 10.
Oh, like
Charles Lindbergh.
plain guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bonus, this thinker's name is humorously used as a verb meaning to deny resolutely the existence of something real or significant. For 10 points each, name is a philosopher whose surname is also used in recreational computing thanks to Douglas Hofstadter, who defined it as a phrase in quotes followed by the phrase itself.
You wrote Gödel or Shabak. We could just pick one.
Answer?
Gödel.
It's Quine. Quining is used to argue that a paradox name for this action doesn't derive from direct self-reference. That paradox is created by claiming to be performing this act of false assertion.
Lying.
Yes. In the first sense of quining, Quine quined this field in a paper titled for it Naturalized. Since 1963, much work in this field has focused on Gettier problems.
Epistemology.
Logic.
Epistemology.
That sounds right.
No,
Answer?
Epistemology.
That's right for 20. And toss up 18. This poem debates how there can be a mean man or an infidel in a section that asks, what blurt is this about virtue and about vice? This long poem was first given a title in the deathbed edition of the collection
Song of Myself.
The Song of Myself for 20.
Nice.
Bonus, in 2021, this company transferred most of its liabilities to subsidiary LTL Management, which then declared bankruptcy in a maneuver known as the Texas Two-Step. For 10 points each, name this company, which proposed a $8.9 billion settlement in April 2023 as a result of one of its products causing ovarian cancer.
The
Baby
fake meat,
powder?
the fake meat, yeah. What's that?
Answer?
Johnson & Johnson.
That's right. Talc powder from Johnson & Johnson was sometimes tainted with this mineral, which was used to fireproof old buildings and has been linked to mesothelioma.
Yeah, it's really.
In the 1970s, Johnson & Johnson manipulated health studies of its primary talc suppliers from this country. This country's prime minister has advocated for a naval blockade of African migrants to Europe after being elected in 2022 as part of a right-wing party called Brothers of this Country.
Italy.
Italy drops.
30 points.
Yeah.
2019. In a song by this composer, two trilling flutes represent a pair of larks rising into the sky before the soprano asks, "Is this perhaps death?" This composer wrote In Memoriam in the score above the cellos and double basses, quoting the funeral march from the Eroica Symphony near the end of a piece scored for 23 solo strings. In his 80s, this composer wrote Im Abendrot, the final piece in his four last songs, as well as Metamorphosen. A tone poem by this composer begins with a motif often called the nature or world riddle theme, which consists of the rising notes C, G, C.
Richard Strauss.
Yes.
Yeah.
10 points.
Oh my goodness. Yep. Metamorphosis.
And bonus for Chattahoochee. In the 1990s, this country signed a series of shipwriter agreements with Caribbean nations, allowing its officers to board and search foreign vessels suspected of illegal activity. For 10 points each, name this country that invaded Panama in 1989 as part of its war on drugs.
Colombia.
United States. CARICOM negotiated shipwriter agreements for its members, with the exception of Jamaica and this country, who both negotiated individually. In 2021, Sandra Mason was elected the first president of this country with support from Mia Motley.
Barbados, I think.
Go ahead.
Barbados?
That's right. This other American intervention in the Caribbean was codenamed Operation Urgent Fury.
Okay.
This 1983 military action overthrew
Good
the
job.
Marxist New Jewel movement in under
That's
a
right.
week.
Invasion of Grenada.
That's right for 20.
Ooh.
And last also. The mammalian diving reflex causes this organ to contract more than 20% in volume. Macrophages in this organ phagocytose pneumococci and other encapsulated bacteria. The majority of the body's IgM is made in this organ rather than at a germinal center. This organ is the body's reservoir of iron before hematopoiesis.
Never.
No, sorry. Which occurs both here and in the bone marrow. After 120 days of circulation, sickled or old erythrocytes get stuck in this organ's cords. Mononucleosis causes this organ to enlarge until it ruptures or is surgically removed. This organ's marginal zone divides red and white blood cells into two colored pulps. For 10 points in this large organ of the lymphatic system found in the upper left abdomen.
It's the spleen.
It is the spleen, yes.
Nice. Good. Kind of makes sense.
And your bonus, the GS Street Censorship Office noted that this phrase was merely funny as a mockery of a woman's idea of the new small talk. For 10 points each, give this three-word phrase. Mrs. Patrick Campbell risked her career at a play's 1914 premiere by delivering this line after a Cockney girl is asked if she is going to walk across a park.
Hell
Answer?
No.
Hell no.
Not bloody likely.
That's-
Newspapers censored Eliza Doolittle's line, not Pygmalion likely, in reviews for this Irish playwright.
Shaw.
That's right. Shaw attacked censorship of one play by claiming this character's climb from a fried fish shop down by the Mint exemplifies high English social values. This character's daughter, Vivi, discovers her title questionable profession.
What?
Just name like a woman.
Doolittle.
This is Mrs. Warren. And
Mrs.
that is the
Warren.
end of the game. And
It's pretty